Have a day, everyone. Santiro, and welcome to our video podcast called Better Catholics. Here we are going to talk about matters of faith, matters of life, even, and many other things under the sun. And hopefully, we'd be able to introduce ideas to you, help you learn, help you grow to become better Catholics. I am Father Melvin Avilla. I am a priest of San Jude Parish in Coblerville. I just got here in the island last January, so I'm not even a year here in Saipan.
My name is Donna Flores, and I am from the beautiful island of Saipan. I am an alumnus of Mount Carmel High School, class of 1990. My work is heavily involved in the disabilities community, and church-wise, I've been a lector, commentator for Cristo Parish for over 20 years, and just this past year, I have been a lector here at the Mount Carmel Cathedral.
Thank you, Father Melvin and Donna. Thank you really for giving us your time in this new project for the diocese. This is my first time to do what you call this podcast.
Yes.
So I'm Bishop Ryan. I was ordained priest for the diocese in 2003 and was appointed bishop in 2016. So I'm actually nervous with this kind of program. But we have Donna with us who will help us when we are nervous. And so what Father Melvin said, that hopefully through this medium, we're able to discuss topics of interest, not only to the churchgoers, but even those perhaps who have left the church. And this is our, again, first time to do this. So please bear with us. And why are we doing this, Father Melvin?
Oh, yes. There are so many reasons why we are doing this. And this is a new way, really, of evangelization. This is a new way of reaching out to the people, a new way of bringing about the truth of the gospel, the joy of the gospel to the people. So new as it is, it's actually not very new to a lot of people, because this has been people have been using this medium for years, many years now already. At least in the United States, I know that they are already using a video podcast or podcast to reach out to people.
You know, when you shared with me about podcasts, I really thought it's just our voice. Mm-hmm. And so when I learned that it's both the audio and then the visual, the video, I said, Father Melvin, we need someone like who looks better in a frame than us. And so we thought of Donna, and thank you, really,
thank
Donna.
You.
Not only because, you are Donna, but more so it's important for us priests to have a different perspective from a layperson and someone who loves her faith dearly. You're a mother, you're a consistent churchgoer, and you're involved in many ways. And so feel free to ask questions, and we're not here to give answers, because we cannot possibly give answers to all the questions that our viewers have. Mm-hmm. But we're here to perhaps, provide a venue for conversation.
Yes.
And why we're doing this, because, other than our weekly reflection of the gospel, wherein the content is much focused, the readings for the Sunday, this podcast we have, the topics would be a variety of perhaps concerns. I hope that one day Donna can also help us interview with the young adults and the young, and maybe you're from your line of work. You serve community members who are probably not known yet by many of our parishioners. How can the church be truly a church where we accompany others in their search for meaning and their search for faith?
And there are many concerns that we can talk about really here in the program, like the status of our CCD program, the status of the youth ministry, even the status of the vocation here in the CNMI. Are we getting enough vocations? What about mission and ministry of the diocese? The social action of the Diocese of Chalan Kanoa, are we doing enough? and many other things. Do you have any other ideas, Donna, things that we can talk about? Maybe issues.
Well, yes, I do. You did touch on being better Catholics, but I think what we need to focus on first is how to bring Catholics back, how to make them practicing Catholics again, and then we can eventually help them better how they practice their faith and how they nurture their children in that way as well. Unlike you folks, there's always a general fear of approaching those that are higher than us lay people, right? So I'm not perfect. I go to church. I'm a sinner. I go to church because this is where I find my peace. This is where I am able to think about my faith, right, and reflect and listen to the preachings and listen to homilies. Homilies are very important, and Bishop, it's no secret, right? I never hold back when I have, something to say about a certain homily that was given that day, or how somebody,
whether it's my homily or another priest's homily,
and how it's delivered, and the context of the homily, and how is it relevant to us here in our island community with our culture, right? So it's very reflective on how we receive information and how we interpret it. So I think cultural sensitivity is a big issue. It shouldn't be too hard for you folks because we're all from this region, right? So we have those values. We're familialistic. We're not as individualistic as maybe Westerners are, right? So I think it's very important to first bring people back to faith. People, my friends, they know I go to the church and, I read, and sometimes I'm made not fun of, but they're like, oh, you're so holy. You always go to church. I said, not really, because I acknowledge that I need to go there and my faith brings me there. And that's where I sit and I reflect and I ponder and I ask for forgiveness and insight. That is where you should go, right? It's the gathering place for us believers in God, in our Catholic faith. But I do get, some opinions from people like, I have faith, I believe in God, but I don't go to church. So I'm like, why? Why don't you go to church? Well, there's sometimes the church is discriminating, or there's hypocrisy there. They say, Jesus says, don't discriminate, love all. Yet here we are with, we do these, we have conflicting opinions on people's lifestyles. And it's like we're chasing people out, especially. Right. I can say, I don't know, I'm midway, right? I'm halfway through my life. I'm 49 years old. So I think my age group and below, nowadays the tendency is to have their own personal feelings realized and articulated versus listening to mom and dad, right? Following mom and dad the traditional way. And I just really think first we need to find ways to bring people back to the church, bring them in, regather. We need to gather again, and then that's how we can continue the process of maybe change our style of preaching. There's so many ways. As far you mentioned CCD, maybe I was talking with the bishop, maybe not necessarily just a full classroom approach all the time, because there are those children in the community, those with, special needs, those who have a unique way of learning. Maybe they cannot benefit from that strict type of teaching. Maybe there are other ways. There are other ways they can communicate and show you that they understand what you are saying to them. It's just the design of the instruction that needs to be more creative. So we should look that way too. I I have many conversations with the bishop, so when somebody presents a case to me, sometimes I tell them, hey, what about this child? He has autism, but he wants to receive confirmation. Why is he not being afforded the opportunity to do so? Just because his style of learning is different doesn't mean he doesn't understand. So we have to know these kids, they want to go to church. We know they have a belief, their parents believe. We should not discriminate against them. We should instead find ways to connect with them and help them because they do understand. It's just in a different way.
Oh, Donna, you raise a lot of very important points there. If I could just react to three. One is when you said we really need to bring back people to church.
Right.
Our parishioners who were once very active, very much involved, who probably went through the whole shebang, baptism, confirmation, Holy Communion, and all the sacraments, but are not there anymore. And perhaps related to that is for us to know, to ask the question, why did they leave?
Exactly.
What is missing? What have we not done? Are we able to make that connection with faith expression and the lived experience? Because perhaps there is so much disconnect with our way of worship, our learning about the faith, and what matters to people in their day-to-day living. The second point that, Donna, you raised so well is the importance of culture. Right? In fact, in other places, priests coming in, like from other countries and coming into a new diocese, there's what they call intercultural competency. That you don't just come in and not know about what has already been the set practices. What matters to people? It's important for us to keep us in mind. And for us here in the diocese, we have such rich and diverse practices, fiestas. We have the procession where we know as Luca, which, by the way, I'm hoping we can resume on December 8th. The visitation of the Niño Jesus. Again, we stopped it last year because of the pandemic. There are so many expressions of our faith. And we can't just say, Father Mabs, we didn't study this in theology. It's really should be about, the Word and God. But the Word became flesh. Jesus was born in a specific time and culture and context. And so our ministry must also respond to that. So that's a very good point, Donna. Wow, you can host a full episode.
Yeah, that's right.
And the third that caught my attention is when you mentioned about CCD. You actually brought up a very important point on how we can diversify our instruction. Because we're so I think, we do our best on instructing like the usual traditional classroom setting. Father Melvin and I had this discussion about how we shift from a classroom model of CCD to what Pope Francis would call an accompaniment model. And when you mentioned about special needs, that's a way of accompanying them.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, I've been approached by some parishioners on, my child is, his or her style of learning is not the same from the regular kids. So I guess that's an area where we need to grow.
Sure.
We definitely have a lot of things to discuss.
Yes.
We have so many things that we can discuss in this stage. We have so many questions. The reasons why people leave the church and the reasons why we want them to come back. These are all things that we can talk about in this program. There are so many experiences probably in your life as a bishop where people come to you asking questions, and these are individual people coming to you. What if we can offer them a bigger stage? Because that one question is probably a question not only of one person, but it is a question of a lot of people. So that one question is representing a question of probably 10 or more people here in the CNMI, not only in the CNMI, but also in the other parts of the world wherein people are watching and listening to us. So if we can offer them that stage wherein people can come and ask questions through this video podcast, that would be a great evangelization ministry, and that is what we are offering here. So we definitely want to offer some answers. We want to know more questions from people. So if you have questions that you want to be answered in matters of life, of faith, or whatever your question you may have,
Ask
we'll help
Donna.
you. Yes, ask Donna.
Ask me and I will ask them.
Yeah,
because I'm good at that.
Yes. Ask Donna about love. You can ask her about
man.
love. Which better person?
I think the topic on love can be like one whole episode.
Probably not. It's probably going to take a few.
That's right.
So we have established that already. So why we talk about this here, the video podcast, we reach out to a lot of people. We can reach out to more people. If we are to look at the statistics alone, we have in the mainland United States, 25% of people listen to podcasts. And if we are to apply it here in the CNMI, we would have about 10,000 listeners.
Fingers crossed.
Yes,
Yeah.
fingers crossed, of course. 10,000 listeners or viewers to our podcast. That's a lot of people that we can reach out
Sure
to.
is.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think, generally speaking, that people have lost their faith. We all need something to believe in, right? In times of struggle, in times of triumph, in times of happiness, there's always something that we thank or we plead to, right? Someone above us, a higher being. And here in the CNMI, we're predominantly Catholic. That's just who we are, right? I'm not saying that we are closed ears to change. We're not. It's how you propose it and how you present it. I think it makes a difference, because if you say it in an offensive way or in a "it must be this way" type attitude, chances are we close our eyes, our ears, and this isn't the approach we need.
Yes. And I think the example of Jesus in his ministry in the gospel is very much it's our model. He is our model. Who did he reach out? Right? The prostitute, the sinners, the tax collector. And these people mentioned in the gospel are you and I. You mentioned about being a sinner and not perfect. That's Father Melvin and I too. We're not exempted just because we wear a nicer cloth uniform than yours. Yours is nice too. It's Advent. It's
You get
purple.
yours pressed for you. I press my own.
That's correct.
Okay, that would be another topic.
Yeah, like I said, we have a lot to talk about.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Donna,
Yes.
for being with us, and Bishop, of course, for sharing your thoughts, your ideas. Donna, for your expertise. Hopefully, in the future,
Not
we'll be
expertise.
able to learn more from you.
Thank you.
So, like you said, we have to open our eyes, we have to open our ears, and hopefully listen to the cries of the people, to the questions of the people, offer answers to all of your questions and answers that will make us become better Catholic.